Tales from Tech Support. WHO does that? We have a weird application that won't run on a VDI, so we dropped a workstation PC in the data center, hooked it into the fiber backbone, set it up for remote desktop. Done. Works great. And the user calls me in a panic. I can't get into the system. I'm remote. I send out an alert to the folks in the data center. Okay, it's back up. And an hour later I hear ya. Someone unplugged it and took the power cable and network cable. WTF. Cue the oops meme from Airplane. My laptop is trash because I don't know how to use it. This one was from yesterday. I'm walking down the hall of one school and someone is yelling something on the other end of the hall, but I can't hear due to the janitor running the floor buffer. I open the door to one classroom and proceed to speak to a teacher about her issue. This other teacher comes running up behind me. Teacher, sir, me, startled, yeah, teacher, my laptop is trash. Me, huh, teacher, my laptop is trash. I need a new one. Me, rolling my eyes to the other teacher. Hold on, let me finish up with her. Later I go to trash lady's classroom. Me, so, you're having a problem with your laptop? Teacher, yeah, it's trash. I want my old one back. Are you going to wipe it? I need to save my stuff. Me, I don't even know what the issue is. It's trash is vague. Teacher, well, the mouse, she means touchpad, doesn't work. I can't right click. It's stuck. It's trash. I go over and get on her laptop. I immediately start right clicking with reckless abandon. Works fine. Me, touchpad works fine. I'm using it without an issue. Teacher, what? Of course it works when you are here. Me, here try it. This dolt proceeds to press on the very top right of the pad where you use your fingers to move the cursor. She's trying to press there and of course it won't work. Me, well you're doing it wrong. You have to press down here. Teacher, well that's ridiculous. I need my old one back. It worked better. Me, sorry, that one is obsolete and we've scrapped it. She mutters something. I just leave. What a nut job. Watching a human buffer. I work as a student assistant at a university, where I attend the third and last year of computer engineering. I work as a helper in the second year networking class, helping students to follow labs and set up services like simple webmail servers. The students throughout the semester are to complete a set of labs that prepare them for 2 projects. One small project to prepare them for their second, and more extensive project, which is their exam. The labs consists of a walkthrough part first, making the students set up the given service that the lab entails, followed up by questions. These questions would be anything from describe how this works, to change the configuration of what you have just set up to achieve this result. As the labs gets more advanced one could still follow them to a T, to complete the initial setup, but the questions would eventually get more to the point of having to Google how to do certain things. As these are second year students one would expect at least a rather basic IT comprehension at this point, and they should be familiar with basic Linux commands and terminal usage. Some students in their year obviously aren't where their progression in their degree suggests. I have been a helper in other previous classes too, like Intro to Linux and Object-Oriented Programming, so I know to a certain degree which are the stronger and weaker students of the bunch. Of the lesser end of the bunch are a few that stand a bit out, like this one. The lab environment is in CentOS 7, which uses systemd, so the accompanying commands are used. M equals me and Saint equals student. Saint had a habit of sitting at the lab computer and waiting until I made eye contact, where they would then raise their hand to ask a question. They would only try a command once, and then figure they are either stuck, or progress the lab not caring about the fact that a service isn't running, and then getting more stuck later. Meanwhile sitting and staring at their screen, they would not make any effort to reading the lab instructions again or googling the errors that might be appearing. I would always find this a bit fascinating as the first interaction between us. Every single time I got up to Saint would be something along the lines of, what seems to be the problem? As I look at the terminal window to see if I can immediately identify the problem. Saint, well I changed this in the config file, and tried the restart command, and it won't start. Points to the lab instructions, where one could input exactly what it says into the config file. and the service would work. Okay, have you looked at the status, which it says right there? Points to the terminal output telling the user what troubleshooting steps they could do on their own. This is where the now famous, among the student assistants, buffer comes along. Anytime me or the other helper would get to this stage of the conversation, it would be like watching little gears grinding in their head as they were trying to kickstart their thought process to figure out what to do next. The answer would always be no, I haven't looked at that. No, I haven't googled that. No, I haven't tried to follow the lab's instructions again. But before every single one of these types of responses I would, in awe, watch as this person spent a total of 5 to 10 seconds sit in complete silence, trying to figure out what to do with the words that just came hurtling in their direction. Oftentimes the question Saint had would be of the kind that could be solved by going back into the config file and double checking syntax, or seeing what systemd would output to logs. But time and time again Saint would insist on sitting in silence, until making eye contact, for me to then have to watch as my request for a command or a Google search churned away in their head, and them figuring out or being told their simple mistake. Yet every single time Saint got stuck, I would have to walk over to them, ask them if they googled it, or ran the command that is currently being displayed in their terminal, only to watch them sit for an eventual alarming amount of time in silence, processing what I had just said. It could be something as simple as, now, please write journalxlexn and let's see what the output is. Proceeds to wait 5 seconds for them to process. Saint, what command do you mean? The one that is being displayed right there, that we have used before to check what's wrong. Getting a bit frustrated at this point as we are several labs in and has used the same command multiple times before, even a couple today already. Saint, wait for another 5-10 seconds and then proceeds to type in the command. Okay, we can see there is an error in that file, so could you please cat that for me? For about 5-10 seconds. Saint, what do you mean cat? What file? The cat command. We have used several times before to check the contents of a specific file. I'm talking about the file being marked as having errors and the logs we are currently looking at points to the file being marked with errors. You know the drill at this point. Saint writes the command, sees the content of the file, at which point I would either point out a syntax error, or I would let them figure it out on their own, and come back later when they inevitably haven't done anything to figure out their own mistake. This would be and currently still is with their projects being worked on, be a reoccurring segment of my day. This has of course only gotten worse as the projects doesn't have any instructions, only a requirement for what needs to be set up, but it is completely based on everything the students should have learned in their labs already. Technically one could follow the walkthrough of each lab, replacing the contents of config files with the requirements of the projects, and be all set up, but this is not something that is easily understood by Saint. At times I have theorized that Saint is actually a humanoid android that is built to learn about technology like a human, only the processing unit the creators used is vastly underperforming for the use case. Whenever I help Saint still to this day I can't help but being a bit fascinated, and also get my tinfoil hat out. TLDR, student attending a computer engineering degree, has a literal process loading timer, and may or may not be an android. Edit, spelling, eternal Updoot. Memes are temporary but the Updoot is eternal.